Vinophobia, 3 in front of I Am Amadeo, and then Mr. Big Heart. A quarter of a mile to go. Stand from Malibu cuts the corner and leads it by 2. Vorpal on the outside, starting to pick up some momentum. Cody Boy is just in front of him, and down at the rail, no Vinophobia coming to the 16th pole. Stand from Malibu maintains a 3-length lead. Cody Boy trying his best to close the gap. He's gradually getting closer, but out of time, and it will be Stand from Malibu taking care of business. Cody Boy second, Photo for third, no Vinophobia or Vorpal. Events today, the Grade 2 Santa Monica. Post time is in 25 minutes. Splendora. In the gate. And they're off in the Santa Monica. Beautiful start. Copian is quick, so is Splendora. And they're joined by Hope Road. And Hope Road's faster than both and puts her head in front. Ricci is at the back of a very compact field. It gets to the main track. Hope Road and Juan Hernandez will set the terms, leading 3/4 of a length to Copian second. Then Ricci and Splendora side by side past the 5/8 pole. Hope Road, 3/4 of a length. Copian alongside still second. Ricci tugging at the rail in third, 1.5 lengths off Hope Road, passing the half-mile pole. Splendora is fourth, 2.5 to make up. They're into the far turn. Hope Road sets sail for home, leads it by a 1/2 length to Copian, 1.5 lengths, Splendora and Ricci. They're still covered by 3 lengths, approaching the quarter pole. Copian turns up the pressure on Hope Road. Copian puts her head in front at the top of the stretch. Hope Road will try to counter in second. Then it's Ricci and Splendora, 3/16 to go. And Copian gets the upper hand on Hope Road with a furlong left to go, putting 2 lengths on her. Then it's Ricci in third. And Copian passes the 16th pole in complete command. The La Brea Santa Monica double to Copian. Very talented. Wins by 4 widening lengths. Hope Road second best, Ricci third. In the gate. And they're off in the Robert B. Lewis, and Citizen Bull bobbled out of the gate. He did recover quickly. Rodriguez is going to the front. Here's Citizen Bull now sprinting quickly on the inside to take command. Clock Tower comes away third, widest of all. Madicott Road tucks in along the inside of Valentine's Candy. They're heading to the 6 furlong pole, and it is Citizen Bull who will carve out the fractions. He's pretty keen and leads by 1.5 lengths to Rodriguez. They're followed by Clock Tower in third. Frankie Dettori has a nice hold of Madicott Road, 4 lengths off the leader, and Valentine's Candy outside of him with 5 furlongs to travel. It's Martin Garcia and the 2-year-old champ, Citizen Bull, leading by 1.5 lengths. Clock Tower takes second, Rodriguez between those two. Then Madicott Road inching up closer along the inside. He takes third as Rodriguez has lost a couple of spots. Rodriguez now 4 lengths off the lead coming to the 3/8 pole. And Valentine's Candy at the back of the field, midway on the turn. Citizen Bull opens up 2.5. Rodriguez is now re-rallying on the outside. So he obviously wasn't comfortable, but he is now as he comes after Citizen Bull at the top of the stretch. Madicott Road is down at the rail. 3/16 of a mile to go. Citizen Bull still in control. Madicott Road trying to get into second, past the furlong pole, and Citizen Bull better than ever coming to the 16th pole. He is back in a big way. Citizen Bull leads them all the way. Another Robert B. Lewis for Bob Baffert. Second goes to Rodriguez. Madicott Road was third. And they're off. Lovin' on the Run is out alertly. September Magic is up close in the opening stages. And here's Mysticism, who's faster than both and sprinting clear. Run a Mile in My Shoes now a joint second. At the rail comes Wordplay. Miss Monarch Bay is just outside of them, alongside September Magic, who broke on top and is now 5 lengths off the lead. That group is followed by Cornelia Fort, who is a length and a half in front of Not a Sinner. Lovin' on the Run just went by that rival, racing 3 lengths clear of Venganza, who is now 10 or 12 lengths off the lead. Miss Roberts is next. Then it's a big gap to the 2 trailers, Great 48 and Duly Noted. They're coming toward the quarter pole and Run a Mile in My Shoes, looming up alongside of this pace setter, Mysticism, at the top of the stretch. 2 lengths back to Wordplay, angling out for the drive in third. Behind that group comes Cornelia Fort in fourth. Down on the inside, Venganza. Venganza is moving very nicely on the inside, as is from the back. Here's Miss Roberts. Miss Roberts finds the seam and is coming after Venganza. Venganza or Miss Roberts. Here is the line. Venganza. Both finished well. Miss Roberts was going with her, and then it's a photo for third, Not a Sinner, and Wordplay. And tomorrow we're celebrating Lunar New Year, featuring cultural performances, family-friendly activities, and the $30,000 wealth tree presented by Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel. There's a grand prize of $5,000. You must be a first reward. We're in the gate. Movement from Big Hug. And they're off. Big Hug stumbled at the start. Sariha and Rashmi. Rashmi goes to the front. Omaha Girl is showing good speed up alongside. They're followed by Mucho Macho Girl moving into third. Sariha fourth. Then Mahina, 6 lengths off the pace, followed by Liguria, and Big Hug is at the back of the field. Into the first turn, and Omaha Girl crosses over and clears, leads it by 3 lengths. Rashmi is tracking comfortably in second, racing 2 in front of Sariha and Mucho Macho Girl, who are right next to one another. A gap of 3. Mahina is unhurried at this stage, 4 in front of Liguria, and Big Hug is 15 lengths or so off this front-running Omaha Girl. Omaha Girl, the long shot leader to the half-mile pole. Frankie Dettori and Rashmi 3 lengths back in second. Sariha is wanting to get going on the inside with Mucho Macho Girl in the yellow colors fourth. 3 more back to Mahina, still fifth, 7 lengths off the lead. Then Liguria and Big Hug at the back. Omaha Girl, a length and a half. Rashmi looming large second, and Sariha is still under a nice hold. Sariha's got some run, 3.5 off the pacemaker. Mahina has saved every inch of ground. She'll cut the corner as the field turns for home. Here comes Sariha on the outside, and along with Rashmi. They have to get to Rashmi, who has the lead. Rashmi's in front. Mahina is on the move in between horses. Liguria is next. Sariha did not go on, and it's Rashmi by 3.5, and Rashmi, powerful performance in the Megaherz, a no doubt about it victory. Mahina and Liguria. Is of wagering. Kingdom Heart and See Through It, the last 2. We're in the gate. And they're off. Kingdom Heart is hustled out. Slider matching strides, and Pilot Commander is in the mix too. Those 3 across the track, but it is Kingdom Heart who's the quickest. Slider a length back second. Pilot Commander will track from third. See Through It, 4 off the pace in fourth. Then comes Moose Mitchell, and Manitowish is at the back of the field. Kingdom Heart, left alone on the front end, has a 2-length lead over Slider past the half-mile pole, with Pilot Commander third. See Through It is racing in fourth, has 4 to make up as they come to the 3/8 pole. Moose Mitchell is just inside of him, and Manitowish has trailed throughout. They're coming to the quarter pole, still Kingdom Heart in charge, 2-length advantage. Slider Pilot Commander called on now, powers into second, and is coming after Kingdom Heart at the top of the stretch. Moose Mitchell guided off the rail, 3/16 to go. Kingdom Heart, Pilot Commander trying to close the gap. He's within a length at the 8th pole. Slider is down at the rail. Moose Mitchell is next. Pilot Commander gradually gets the upper hand and takes command with a 16th of a mile to go. It will be Pilot Commander and Juan Hernandez to win, going away by 3. Kingdom Heart was a good second. Slider finished third in front of Moose Mitchell. Eighth, it's the Thunder Road Stakes. They'll be at the gate in 23 minutes. Has drifted all the way to 5-2. They're in the gate. And they're off in the Thunder Road. It was a pretty even start. Wizard of Westwood hopped slightly. Cabo Spirit is out alertly. Air Force One showing speed. El Potente is up close too. Astronomer comes away in fourth. Zio Joe is down at the rail. The gray is Paxawallop 4 lengths off the lead. Then Lamas, Wizard of Westwood, second to last, and SEAL Team guided over to the rail is 8 lengths off front-running Air Force One, who shows the way past the 6 furlong pole, leading it by a length and a half. El Potente is clearly second. Down at the rail, it's Cabo Spirit, Paxawallop, Astronomer on a tight hold in between those two. Zio Joe is next. Lamas is tugging as well. He's 8 lengths off the lead. Wizard of Westwood and SEAL Team is at the back of the field. They straighten up for the run down the backstretch, and it is Air Force Red leading the way. Goes past the half-mile pole, a length and a half in front. El Potente is in second, and down at the rail, Cabo Spirit, Paxawallop, Astronomer still between those two. Another couple back to Zio Joe. Lamas, Wizard of Westwood, SEAL Team has trailed throughout. Air Force Red has been there every step of the way, but El Potente turns up the pressure now, coming to the quarter pole. 2 more behind them to a wall of 3. Astronomer between horses, Cabo Spirit at the rail. Paxawallop drops out of it. Down at the rail, SEAL Team is trying to make some late headway as El Potente and Hector Barrios put away Air Force Red. SEAL Team running on willingly, but El Potente is lights out. A tremendous effort out of him. El Potente dominates the Thunder Road. SEAL Team was second best. Photo for third, Air Force Red, and an oncoming Zio Joe. We're in the gate, and they're off. And another tardy beginning for Berlin Wall, and an even slower one for Outworker. It's a fast start for Roman Gratus. Gray Area came away with the top flight. Chasing Rider broke very nicely and will track intently as they run down the back stretch. Let Me In moves up to take third, and 3-wire matching strides with that rival. Berlin Wall, after some urging, takes fifth, 6 lengths off the lead, past a half-mile pole. Gray Area losing ground. Falcon Wings, and it's a distance to Outworker. They have 3/8 of a mile to go, and it is Roman Gratus in front, leading a length and a half. Chasing Rider is in second. Let Me In takes third. Down at the rail, 3-wire. Berlin Wall is moving up fifth, 5 lengths off the lead. A gap of 5 back to Falcon Wings. Outworker out of last. They're at the top of the stretch, and Roman Gratus maintaining a comfortable lead. It's up to 3 now. Berlin Wall had to bull through traffic and takes up the chase into second. Let Me In outside of him, and an eye-catching run from Outworker. Outworker is way back, but one to follow. And it will be Roman Gratus. Roman Gratus wins it by 2.5. Berlin Wall second. Photo for third. Let Me In, and Outworker, who gallops out smartly too. Coming up. In the gate. And And they're off. Stamp My Passport sprints out of the gate. Sketchy has speed, as does Jeweled Shalala up close in the early going. And T'Challa's eager too, but is held back. Then Ciro DiMarzio, who's 3 deep and now going to guide over to the rail to save some ground. Stamp My Passport, who broke well, is now some 8 lengths off the pace. Hard-Headed is 3 deep. Calm Sea is down at the rail with the red cap, 7 or 8 lengths off the pace. They're followed by American Glory. Freeport Joe is in a tad tight down on the inside. He's close to 20 lengths off the pace and was just passed by Blame the Good Times, who is 3 lengths clear of the trailer Call Sign 7. They straighten up for the run down the backstretch. Jeweled Shalala has opened up a 5-length lead. T'Challa's racing in second. Then Sketchy together with Ciro DiMarzio. Those two stride for stride. Stamp My Passport is just behind them. Down at the rail, Calm Sea. Hard-Headed is next. American Glory trying to make some headway while saving ground around the far turn. Blame the Good Times is next. Freeport Joe still remains second to last. And another 3 back to Call Sign 7. They're heading to the quarter pole, and Jeweled Shalala still loose. It's still a 6-length lead. He's widening at the top of the stretch. Sketchy is coming after him down at the rail. On the outside, Ciro DiMarzio is picking up some momentum. Out in the center of the race course, Stamp My Passport and Calm Sea. A 16th to go. Jeweled Shalala and Serafin Carmona trying to get there. 4 lengths in front, and no one's going to get him. A flying Call Sign 7's coming. It's going to get close. Here is the line. Call Sign 7 might have got him. Call Sign 7 came with an explosive rally. Jeweled Shalala's in a photo with Hard-Headed. It's very close, but Call Sign 7 perfectly timed by Umberto Rispoli.
Well, yesterday was a fun day, wasn't it? Hopefully for some of you it was a profitable one as well. And today we've got a similar scenario, 10 races starting at noon post. But what about the performances yesterday? We saw Citizen Bull stamp himself as one of the leading 3-year-old candidates for both the Santa Anita and the Kentucky Derby. Of course, Copion did not disappoint. And what about El Potente? Came back with, I believe, a 104 Beyer speed figure, dominating the Thunder Road. Of course, I was here to witness it, but so was my seminar guest. He's here every day reporting for Daily Racing Form. He's been working for them for 3 decades. His name's Steve Andersen. Steve, happy Sunday. Welcome to the seminar.
Thank you very much for inviting me on the program.
It's great to have you here. Now, you started your day much earlier than I did this morning. You probably were, walking around the backside trying to dig up some stories. What did you think personally of Citizen Bull's performance yesterday?
I thought it was what we expected him to do, which was to be brave on the front end, and he ran very, very well, just like he did back in November. And there's ever any concern about how he might come back 90 days after he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He showed he's in excellent form yesterday, winning that 1 mile Bob Lewis Stakes, Grade 3, a good start to his 3-year-old season. And we'll look forward to hearing what Baffert says in the near future about how he wants to get that horse prepared for the first Saturday of May at Kentucky at Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby. I expect 1 or 2 more starts, pretty much a standard program leading up to that race. But Baffert didn't mention anything specifically today, but we know the logical spots as well. So we'll wait and see.
And Bob Baffert sent 3 runners against Copion, but it was to no avail because, of course, she stamped herself as one of the leading 3-year-old fillies, for trainer Richard Mandella. What did you think of her performance?
She earned a 110 Beyer.
Wow.
Yes. And that is one of the highest sprint Beyers in recent times. Just to give you some comparative, if I remember correctly, Straight No Chaser winning the Breeders' Cup Sprint got a 102.
Wow.
And Big City Lights, also trained by Mandela, when he won the Cal Cup Sprint here on January 18th, got a 103. She did a 110.
Amazing.
And she did a 97 when she won the La Brea back on December 26th. So this is a major jump, but she ran that way too. A very quick time. So she's probably going to go for a 2-turn race, the Beholder Mile, on March 8th, which would be her first start at a mile since a bad loss in the Santa Anita Oaks last April. She is a different filly this winter than she was 12 months ago.
The layoff treated her well, that's for sure.
Did. She really grew up very, very nicely for that stable and Spendthrift Farm. So they've got a lot to look forward to, not only here for the remainder of this winter-spring meeting, but throughout 2025 with Copion. She's really topped the division for so far in terms of accomplishments this year.
And Steve, speaking of fast times, El Potente stopped the clock at 1:32 and change for the mile in the Thunder Road. He also improved his Beyer speed figure dramatically. He was impressive also.
Yeah, he's really come along very well for trainer Dan Blacker, whose barn is really starting to catch a good piece of form. They've got Straight No Chaser. I mentioned the Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, champion sprinter, and he's bound for Saudi Arabia after a fast workout yesterday. So El Potente, really sharp mile performance to continue his winning streak, and we'll look to see what he can do going into the rest of this meeting as well.
I mentioned, Steve, you were walking around the backside yesterday, which you always do on the weekends, trying to develop stories. Anything of note today that maybe you can give a preview of what you're going to write about?
I think you're going to see a pretty good little field next weekend in the San Marcos Stakes here on Saturday.
That's good news. Yeah. Big game weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And then Sunday, the Sweet Life Stakes for the early post time that day to accommodate later events. That should be a large-sized field for 3-year-old fillies coming down the hill. So both of next weekend's stakes races at Santa Anita look to be very competitive, and I think that'll be fun. So, yeah, it was a little on the quieter side this morning in the stables, but there's always activity to follow.
Steve, I mentioned you've been working for the Daily Racing Form for 3 decades. You actually started working for them in 1994. Hard to believe. Time flies. How did you originally get started in horse racing? Did your parents introduce you to the game?
No, I did it myself. I was a sports writer at the Dallas Morning News, and I started to go to Louisiana Downs and Oaklawn Park. And
as a fan, or were you covering racing?
I was a fan, and I just had press credentials because of my connection with the Dallas Morning News. So I had an opportunity to see the sport, up close rather early and see the press side of it, and thought that'd be fun to be involved in. And then on October 31st, 1986, I came here for the first time.
Fell in love with the place.
Yep. I'd been to Hollywood Park as a teenager with some family on a visit to California. And then I saw Santa Anita, and I thought, how long is it going to take me to get a job out here in this neck of the woods? Well, it took a few years, but it worked out in the end the way I wanted it to as well.
What are your primary responsibilities for the Daily Racing Form? You kind of bounce around and do a lot. You're kind of like a journeyman in terms of not just a reporter, but a handicapper. How would you describe what your responsibilities are? Mostly
it's correspondent for this 2025. I was doing for 3 years the Northern California selection.
Sure.
But that's no longer taking place. And so therefore I'm doing a lot more reporting on day-to-day events here at Santa Anita, but also a little bit around the world and a little bit of national stuff in other parts of the country. But the California picture right now, from the front office news to the racing news, keeps a person quite busy. So there's plenty on my plate in regards to something to work forward to and work on.
I think one of the things closest to your heart is making the annual trek over to England. Are you going to be doing that this year?
There's a possibility in April, but I haven't made any plans yet. I was considering maybe the first ever trip to Australia for their.
I'd love to go there. I was watching some racing from there last night. That would be a #1 on the bucket list.
When this Santa Anita meeting takes about a 10-day hiatus in the middle of April, that coincides for them in Australia with a Group 1 called the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, which is worth about $3 million US. And that brings together their best mile and a quarter horses. So it'd be interesting to try to maybe attend that. 50-50 right now is whether to work out, but I'm working on it.
He eats, sleeps, and breathes horse racing. He's going to be our seminar guest for the next 35 minutes or so. He's going to tell us who he likes on today's 10-race card. But before Steve does any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get a couple of important scratches and changes on today's Sunday's card here at the Great Race Place.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. The track is fast and the turf course is firm. The rail on the turf is at 10 feet. Here are the early changes. No scratches or jockey changes in race 1, which opens the early pick 5. We have a program scratch in the second of number 3, Effective Gig, pick 4 wagering offer. The third is the Fasig-Tipton Las Virgenes Stakes, scratch 1, Lolo La Plume, and scratch number 3, Our Moonlight. And with those 2 scratches, there's no place or show wagering, win wagering only. Turning to race 4, middle pick 4 wagering offered. Just the blinker note. In the 5th race, scratch number 4, Brother O'Brien, and scratch number 11, Oh Great. 4 and 11 are out of the 5th, first leg of the pick 6. In race 6, scratch number 8, Implaceable. The all-turf pick 3 starts with the 6th on races 6, 8, and 10, as does the late pick 5. Turning to the 7th, scratch number 7, Eagle's Flight. Number 7, Eagle's Flight is out of the 7th. Opening leg of the late pick 4. The late pick 3 starts with the 8th. No changes. In the 9th, number 2, He's a 10. Make the jockey Alejandro Gomez. Alejandro Gomez rides number 2 in race 9, start of the late double. Scratch number 9, 10 figures. And in the 10th, scratch 4, Baby Waylon. Scratch 6, Desert Rocket. And scratch number 13, Clever Clover. Scratch numbers 4, 6, and 13 out of the 10th. There's super high 5 wagering offer. Enjoy your afternoon at the Great Race Place. The Coast to Coast Pick 5 continues to pay large sums for the $1 wager. Low 15% takeout, combining races from Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Today starts in about an hour and 17 minutes at 12:19 Pacific with Gulfstream's 7th. The Coast to Coast Pick 5 is now offered on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays due to its popularity. At this time, we'll go back to Quigley's Corner. His special guest today is the Daily Racing Forum's Steve Andersen.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Steve Andersen. He is the West Coast correspondent for the Daily Racing Forum. He's been plying his trade at that publication for the last 30 years, and it's been a privilege to have him report on Southern California and other areas of the world in terms of the impact it has for horse players. And Steve's going to tell us who he likes on today's 10-race card. So let's get right into it, Steve. Kicking things off in race number 1, which begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. This race is 1 mile on the turf course. The turf rails today are at 10 feet, and this is just a straight $25,000 claimer. We've got a field of 8. The morning line favorite, number 6, Busy Channel at 5-2, but the one taking the action right now is number 3, Mass Rapido, who is 5-2 on the morning line. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Steve, a number of these runners exit the same race, so we want to show the replay. This replay would be for January 16th. It's the 10th race. It's also a $25,000 claimer. It was won by the 10-year-old Exaltation, but a number of these runners competed in it. The one that I want you to pay attention to, and so does Steve, is the runner that's wearing saddlecloth number 3. That would be the gray Busy Channel, and you'll see right away that Busy Busy Channel is kind of rank early, never really comfortable the entire way, and still finishes a good third under Frankie Dettori. So let's watch Busy Channel break from post position number 3 back on January 16th and listen to Frank Miramati describe the action.
They're in the gate, and they're off. Exaltation broke well, as did Great King, who's quicker and sprints away to lead by 2. Exaltation is now in second, and Silent Heat comes away in third. Busy Channel is racing a joint fourth into the first turn with Spagliato just inside of him. Then comes Moody Jim. Sydney Street has made it over to the inside, 6 lengths off the pacemakers, followed by Fly the Sky between horses and another 2 to Man Friday. They move on to the backstretch behind Great King, who leads the way by a length and a half to Exaltation, taken in hand second. Another length back to Silent Heat in third. He's followed by Spagliato. Busy Channel is in fifth, 4 lengths off the pace in between horses. In behind them, Moody Jim is a part of 3 of them. Sydney Street is down on the inside under a tight hold at this stage, and Fly the Sky in that group too, with Man Friday continuing to trail. Great King takes him into the far turn. He's been left alone on the front end. Cruising by 2 now, over Exaltation in second. Silent Heat still third, coming to the quarter pole. Spagliato inches up along the inside. Fourth, Moody Jim is outside of Busy Channel. Behind them, Sydney Street is down at the rail. He's saved ground throughout. They're in the final furlong, and Exaltation at age 10 is right up to Great King and right on by. Exaltation handridden to the front. 3 lengths back, Busy Channel is in third. It will be Exaltation. What a true professional and a stellar comeback. Great King was...
Steve, Greg King had the lead but got caught by Exaltation. Busy Channel had one of those uncomfortable trips. It's not really going to make anybody horses to watch list, but at the same time, he was in between horses the whole way. You can see here during the gallop out that he actually gallops out in front. I think he's live today, but so do you.
And I think he should get a good stalking trip from post 6. He's drawn a little farther out in this field of 8, which should help his chances, I believe, to a large extent. And like you mentioned before, I think it's important to realize he was between runners. That is not the ideal position at the 3/8 pole. And Dettori rides him back. It's a rarity. There has been quite a few different riders on this gelding 9-year-old in the last 6 months to a year. This is also Busy Channel's second start at Santa Anita after a 2-month layoff. So the recency, I think, helps his chances as well. I think that should help. Time to Party, trained by Peter Miller, has just joined his barn in the last several months, having been previously trained by Kelly Bainham. I think that horse should be effective going a longer trip than his 5 furlong race at Del Mar last July. That's a horse who I also give some respect to, but really eager to see what Busy Channel can do. Great King on the inside should be part of the pace. That should give Busy Channel an early target.
And Busy Channel, trained by Jonathan Thomas, a welcome addition to the Southern California trainer colony. You can see he's done well already. 14 starts as of a day or two ago with 3 wins. Have you actually seen Jonathan on the backside? I've seen his assistant with the horses, but has Jonathan been out here that you're aware of?
He's here almost every day. And he had that stakes winner yesterday in Rashmi, who won the Grade 3 Megaherz
She was
Stakes.
explosive.
She was. And Dettori, interestingly, rode her to a win and a 40 claimer for maidens at Woodbine back in September. And yesterday afternoon, after he won the race, he goes, Dettori said, "This is not the same filly. This filly has grown up. She's matured, turning from her 3-year-old into her 4-year-old season." So in that regard, Rashmi has shown improvement. She's won 3 of her last 4. She was an unlucky 4th in the Grade 1 American Oaks here on December 26th. And she should run next again at the end of March in the Wilshire Stakes. So she should be a contender in that field.
A number of 1-mile races continues the theme in race number 2, this time on the main track. Race 2 also begins the 50-cent early pick 4. Race 2 is a split of race number 5, meaning it has the same conditions. It's a restricted $5,000 claimer, primarily restricted to horses or horsemen based up in Northern California since the beginning of last year. There's 1 program scratch. Scratch the 3 leaves us with a field of 9. Number 7, Beskar, is the 3-1 morning line favorite. Give us your thoughts on race 2, Steve.
Well, this is tricky because when you get into these conditional claiming races, oftentimes you're looking for the most subtle changes in class that can affect which of these horses can be rated as a contender. And in this case, Contrary Chieftain, who ran in an open 8,000 claimer here on December 27th, is taking what, in my opinion, is a very remarkable class drop to go into a conditional 5 claimer. Let's also note that the fact that this horse will be ridden by Manny Americano, who was one of the leading riders at Golden Gate Fields, at Pleasanton in the fall. He has been riding in the last month at Turf Paradise with good success. And now he's, in fact, third in the standings over there as of a few days ago. And now he's going to try to come over here to Los Angeles and ride here at Santa Anita. This is his third venue change in a little more than a month. He doesn't have just a couple of rides today, but watch out for Manny Americano. He's a rider that deserves consideration when he takes him out. And I think in this case, he's got a horse in Contrary Chieftain that can be a factor from slightly off the pace in a decent-sized field.
5-1 for Steve's top pick, number 6, Contrarian Chieftain in race number 2. Let's take a look at the feature race on today's card. It goes as race number 3. It's the Grade 3 Fasig-Tipton Las Virgenes Stakes, $100,000 guaranteed. Again, 1 mile on the main track for 3-year-old fillies. 2 scratches, scratch the 1 and the 3. Leaves us with a field of 3. Number 4, Tenma from the Bob Baffert barn, 2 to 5 on the morning line. Likely to go lower. Free bingo square here.
Yes, very much so. Unfortunately, everyone would like to have seen a larger field in this Grade 3 that leads towards the Santa Anita Oaks on April 5. It's a shame our Moonlight scratched. She was my second pick, and she had won a very nice maiden race on opening weekend here. And she's been withdrawn, as has number 1, Lola Plume. So we're down with only 3 runners, and Tenma should get the trial race that she needs. She's already a 2-time stakes winner, and I expect her to make it 3 stakes wins here this afternoon against 2 rivals.
In race number 4 on a 10-race card, we offer a 50-cent middle pick 4, which begins going 1 mile on the turf course for fillies and mares. It's a starter allowance race. Excuse me. We've got a field of 7 down on the rail. Number 1 starts now from the Richie Baltus barn, is the 8 to 5 morning line favorite. Give us your thoughts on race 4, Steve.
How about Miss Brightside, a winner at this in a starter allowance race here, going a mile back on January 5th, closed from 5th in a field of 7 to win by a length at 2 to 1. No reason to think she can't get the same trip in this field of 7. I don't think there's a ton of speed in the field, although you might see number 2, Big Celebration, take a bit of a forward position. Looks like Miss Brightside is also a filly that can be kind of handy. She was a winner going in a sprint division of a maiden race in Ireland earlier in her career. Now here in California, where she finally had that first California win last time out. Should give her a chance, I think, from that position. Honorable mention, how about number 1, Starts Now, who was second in a race at this level back on January 4th. Closed a little bit of ground from being 5th in a field of 9. So I would nominate those 2. There's a few others in the field. Katarina, trained by Peter Miller, to be ridden by Flavian Pratt, but my pick is Miss Brightside.
Steve, before we take a look at race number 5, a question for you. As I talked many times already about, you kind of pound the pavement on the backside and try and find out stories that are of interest to horse players. What's the ambiance for you like back there? In other words, when trainers or other people see you coming, do they kind of make a U-turn and walk away?
Yes, they run like crazy, like something bad's chasing them. It's remarkable.
You're just trying to find out information.
But I used to play offensive guard, and I have a little bit of speed.
You can catch most of them, I'm sure.
Folks are really receptive.
I can imagine, right?
Even on bad days, when you come up to them and go, "Hey, look, what's the news today?"
Sure.
Like take, for example, Tamara, nice filly of Richard Mandelis, who's currently sidelined. I asked him about it this morning, and we talked about Copion, and we talked about Big City Lights, but he was very forward about talking about how they're going to try to assess what to do with Tamara now that she's had a setback. There's an article right now on DRF.com discussing that. And she, may remember, was a Grade 1 winner in the Del Mar Debutante 18 months ago. Richard could easily have, not answer the question, but having, quite frankly, having decades-long relationships with these guys, it benefits a measure of trust.
You've earned their respect.
I hope.
You have.
Yeah, I hope so. And therefore, you can talk about a wide variety of issues. And sometimes
it's not all business, right? You talk about like some good restaurants to check out and things like that.
Another thing is sometimes you just close your notebook and just talk racing.
Sure.
Not everything goes into an article because it's just visiting about the affairs of the day or the trends, and that happened this morning as well. So it's kind of a bit of a wider range conversations that you might have with one person compared to the next person.
And a labor of love, that I'm sure of that as well. Race number 5 begins the $2 pick 6. As mentioned previously, this is a split of race 2. Another $5,000 restricted claimer. 2 scratches. Scratch the 4 and the 11. 4 was the original morning line favorite, Brother O'Brien. Likely the post-time favorite will be number 3, Warren's World. Difficult race here, Steve. Talk to us about it.
You really think Warren's World will do really well in this conditional 5 claimer? This gelding was a winner at Pleasanton on December the 6th. It came back in a 10,000 claimer, optional claimer class here on January 3rd, going short and didn't run very well. Forget that. He can win this race. My second pick, there was a scratch, so I've had to change it. It's number 10, Super Mazel, a 6-time winner who had a better 2023 than he did 2024 for Steve Sherman. That horse can be a threat as a stalker. So I think Warren's World be very close to the front, and Super Mazel will be close too. I'm looking at a 310 exacta box in race 5.
Race number 6 begins both the 50-cent late pick 5 as well as the $3 all-turf pick 3 with the reduced 15% take on. And we kick off both wagers in race 6, sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. This race is for maiden special weight 3-year-olds. We've got a field of 7 after the scratch of number 8, morning line favorite number 5, Tamino from the aforementioned Richard Mandela barn at 8-5, according to Jeff Siegel. Did Richard talk to you about this horse at all?
We didn't discuss this runner, but it is interesting to note some statistics that are in the racing form related to horses like this. Richard's second-time starters always don't do as well as his first-time starters. So while this horse has excellent credentials and can easily win this race, I found number 4, Cajun Gold, to have greater appeal. Cajun Gold, trained by John Sadler, closed from 6th of 9 to be second in a 6-furlong turf race for maidens here on Jan 5, and now gets another half furlong, which I think will benefit that colt. So I'm on Cajun Gold as a slight selection over number 5 Tamino. Respect for both runners, though.
Question for you, Steve, because I have to juggle this as well before we take a look at race number 7. We both get so much information. Sometimes you have to figure out what's valid, what's not valid. Do you find that the information impacts your handicapping, or do you just kind of approach handicapping when you crack open the racing form with just an open mind?
An open mind to start with, because there are scenarios that will be amongst those low percentage situations that you think, oh, well, this person only wins 5% with maidens going down to maiden claimers or whatever the example may be. And you think, well, this isn't going to happen. Well, 1 out of 20 are going to win. Is this that one?
Correct.
So you need to kind of weigh the different equation factors, and it can get a little heavy. You're right. You can go into a pretty far into the weeds when you finalize selections, but sometimes it's better to maybe just look at them and consider the things with a little bit of context. And one thing that I'm enjoying doing, we call them cartoons in the press box, is going back and watching replays. Because you remember they used to have those replay machines that were on those screens.
The booths, you had to call up and ask to watch a specific race.
And then for a while there, they had it on a dial-up
touch
system.
screen, right.
And I used to tease Kurt Hoover. He was sitting over there in front of that thing on a Saturday morning one, say, "What are you doing, watching cartoons over there?" So if I say cartoons, I mean it equals replays.
The younger generation is so spoiled with the information they have at their fingertips. We had no such things as DRF formulator or,
VHS tapes stacked up to here with Channel 56 replays
all
on.
cataloged, right?
Yes.
Exactly. I remember those days. Race number 7 begins the 50-cent late pick 4, and this is where the most important scratch of the day comes into play. Number 7, Eagles Flight. The half-brother to Flightline has been declared out of the race. Now the morning line favoritism likely to fall to number 1, New King at 2-1. This race is for allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than, going a mile and a 16th on the main track. Any inside info from the Sadler barn? What might have happened to Eagles Flight?
Still waiting to talk to him.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you get called back quicker than others. This time I'm looking at Schaffner, number 4. Because of the scratch, blinkers on. This horse who hasn't run in almost 3 months for trainer John Sheriffs. My top pick before we realized the scratch was number 2, Ghazali, who I'll still nominate as a second pick, but I'm going to move him over 1. I want to see what Schaffner can do with blinkers on for the first time. Rispoli keeps the mount. He's been on this horse who's running some tough races. Had a little bit of time now, going a mile and a 16th again. Let's give Schaffner one more chance with the equipment change. Second pick, Ghazali. I think this is Manny Americano's mount for Vladimir Seren. And this one, I think, can be a factor. Had a little bit of a tough run last time with handling the dirt and being 3 wide. I'll give him one more chance.
Steve, we mentioned John Sheriffs being the trainer of your top pick, number 4, Schaffner. Of course, immediately comes to mind is Zenyatta. I already mentioned Flightline. As you look through over your career and the history books, who are maybe 1 or 2 of your favorite horses all time?
California Chrome.
And why is that?
Just because of luck, really. I was looking for an article on a Wednesday morning at Hollywood Park. And I said, well, I'll do a story about these 2-year-old Calbred maidens.
Unbelievable.
And it was April. And somebody said, well, what's the word? Go talk to Sherman. He is supposedly pretty good.
Yeah.
So I happened to write about California Chrome before his career began, never dreaming that he'd go to the heights that he did.
Did Art think he was a talented horse? Or
yeah,
he
gave me a comment that day that was confident, but not like exorbitantly, like we're going to win by 4. Well, he didn't win that day, and he took him a while, as you remember, in his 2-year-old year in 2013 to get his act together, to put it politely, and he did do that, and that was fascinating to watch. The Pacific Classic a couple of times in the last several years has been a breathtaking race. Watching Beholder win, watching Eagles Flight win was kind of expected in a small way. Flightline, sorry. But when Chrome won, I was like, my eyes were bugging out of my head. And I was like, I didn't see
beat Beholder that day, I believe, right?
She did very impressively.
Yeah.
So that was I would nominate Chrome as one of the one of the horses in the last many years. And it's hard to, I got involved in racing, as mentioned, in 94. Best Pal was well established,
Sure.
but I got to write about his final few years on the track, which was a kick because he really had a fan following.
Interesting, very interesting. Let's take a look at race number 8. Begins a $3 late pick 3 with a reduced 15% takeout. We're on the turf course going a mile and an eighth. This is an allowance optional claiming race for non-winners of 2. Other than we've got a good field of 9. Number 8, Man Among Men, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Before I get your thoughts on the race, we've been talking about El Potente's impressive performance yesterday. Well, a number of these runners ran against El Potente last time out on January 4th. It was the 10th race. The runner that I want you to pay the most attention to is going to be wearing saddlecloth number 3, and that is going to be, his name is going to be Fearless Soldier. We're going to watch saddlecloth number 3 in this replay. Also pay attention to the horse breaking from post position number 10. That would be Irish Prophet. Going to be tough to watch both at the same time, but you'll see that that Fearless Soldier wearing saddlecloth number 3 in this replay encounters a significant amount of trouble. And when we watch the gallop out, look how well he recovers from that. You be the judge of the trouble. We'll listen to Frank Miramati describe the action back on January 4th, the 10th race that afternoon.
And they're off. El Potente sprints out of the gate, trying to cross over. Along the inside, Game Time in the green takes the early lead. They're followed by Call Me Harry, who's in the firing line, and Banyek is up close in between rivals too. Then it's Eye on Rye, who's 3 deep moving into the first turn. Just inside of him comes Fearless Soldier with the white and red colors. Then it's Sarwar, Sienwa, Irish Prophet is behind that pair. Toward the back of the field are Maltese Falcon in the red, racing 3 lengths in front of Escape Artist, and Living Life is at the back, close to 20 lengths off the leader. Down the back stretch, and it is Game Time, and Armando Ayuso leading the way by a half length. Banyek is racing in second. Just behind them comes El Potente, and Call Me Harry is tucked in and willing along the rail in fourth. Fearless Soldier is in striking range, just 4 lengths off the lead into the far turn. Then Eye on Rye, followed by Sarwar, who races on the inside of Irish Prophet. Another 2, Maltese Falcon inches up on the outside of Sienwa, who needs to find racing room. Behind them comes Escape Artist and Living Life. They have a quarter of a mile to go, and El Potente is up to take the lead, chased intently by Eye on Rye. Eye on Rye and El Potente. El Potente running strongly through the stretch. Eye on Rye in second. In behind them, Sarwar, Irish Prophet on the outside. They come to the wire, and it will be El Potente.
Steve, El Potente, no one was going to beat him that day. But as we watch the gallop out here, I'm sure you saw Tyler Bays basically have his hands full with Fearless Soldier. That distance of the race was at a flat mile. Today's distance is a mile and an eighth. As we watch the gallop out, you can see him there in the white silks on the inside, saddlecloth number 3. Here he comes back for more, even though he never really had a chance to run and obviously got beaten by many lengths. Also to take note was Irish Prophet, who was caught wide every step of the way and still finished a good third. Now he maybe goes to his best distance of a mile and an eighth. I think you like Irish Prophet best.
I think that distance is going to be a huge factor for Irish Prophet. Fearless Soldier is an interesting horse in regards to what you described. Bought for $50,000 from a claimer here in October. Was overmatched in the Hollywood Turf Cup, and now troubled race last time out in that 1 mile race. He deserves another chance. He might be your long shot pick of the day at 25 to 1 or so, although quite a few people did see that trip, so we'll have to wait and see. Irish Prophet, I think the distance will really work to his favor in this field. Man Among Men, he's handy, should be well placed throughout for Flavian Pratt. May just stalk and pounce and win, and we may be talking our other picks as perhaps the exacta partner for Man Among Men, but that might be the bet. 2-8 with 2-9 combination or something therein.
Look at the field size in race number 9, which begins the $5 late daily double with a reduced 15% takeout. There is one scratch. Scratch the 9-10 figure. Still leaves us with a field of 13. Alejandro Gomez is the jockey on number 2. He's a 10. The lukewarm morning line favorite down on the rail is number 1, Just Deal. Very rare that you see a Bob Baffert, Juan Hernandez ridden horse at 4 to 1. Really interesting race 9, because there's so many different ways you can go. Which way you going, Steve?
Well, I looked at number 12 Toppers at Seaside, winless in 6 races. Had a little bit of a second place finish in a maiden 32 here on January 3rd, going 5.5 furlongs. I think this extra furlong will help that guy in his second start in a sprint this year. It's a wide open field. I could argue on behalf of several of these runners. I did put Just Deal second as my second pick. He should be forwardly placed in his first start since the last of October from the inside position, just to maintain position in a big field. But I wouldn't be surprised if Toppers at Seaside could make a bid in the last furlong and maybe get up there.
Competitive way to end the card on today's Sunday's 10th race, because again, we've got a full field of 10 here going 6.5 furlongs down the Hillside Turf Course. This is a straight allowance race for Calibreds. Race 10 also offers $1 super high five wagering. We've got a field of 10 because there's 3 scratches. Scratch the 4, the 6, and one of the also eligibles, number 13. That means number 12. Where's the Loot does draw into the body of the field. Again, a lukewarm favorite near the bottom. Number 11, Piper's Causeway at 4-1. This late daily double, late pick 4, pick 6 is going to be very tough based upon these 2 legs. We need a winner, Steve. Who's it going to be?
We started with Dettori in the first race in a
We
few
sure
minutes.
did.
We're closing with Dettori.
Okay.
Number 3, Havoc.
The rock star.
Havoc, second-time starter, blinkers on now. This is he came off of a 13-month layoff to finish 6th of 11. Had a little bit of trouble in early stretch of a 6 furlong California Breds allowance race, and now he's going to go down the hill. This is a new trip for him, but I do expect Havoc to be a factor from off the pace. I might be a little lower than 8-1. Now there's been some withdrawals in the field, but I still think he'll be a hefty price. I'd like to have a win bet on him and maybe build around from that. Chrome Flash, number 10. Was second in the same race as number 3 Havoc was last month. I think that horse has every chance as well to do a race, to do a win on the Hillside course. He has won a turf sprint here on the flat track.
Steve, you're a well-rounded individual, so I can't let you go without an opinion. The big game is 7 days from today. Of course, Philadelphia Eagles versus Kansas City Chiefs. Any opinion on the game?
No, but I'll tell you that Philadelphia will win 27-25, and Saquon Barkley will be the MVP, and there will be much rejoicing.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, let's hope that happens, as well as all 10 picks today. I always enjoy doing the seminar with you, Steve. Have a great afternoon. Thanks so much for your time.
Sure thing.
Thanks to all of you for watching. One more wager to consider, the $1 coast-to-coast pick 5. Have you seen the results so far this weekend? On Friday, I paid in excess of $7,000. Yesterday, I paid in excess of $3,500. Today's pick 5 sequence begins in Gulfstream Park, race number 7. $1 minimum, low 15% takeout. Make sure you get involved. 3 of those races are from Santa Anita. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great afternoon. Enjoy yourselves. Good luck. Live racing resumes here at Santa Anita next Friday. We'll see you then.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. The track is fast, the turf is firm, the rail on the turf at 10 feet. The changes and track conditions brought to you by John Deere. In the first opening leg of the early pick 5, just the one blinker note. We have a program scratch out of the second. It's number 3, effective gig. Pick 4 wagering is offered. The third, the Fasig-Tipton Las Virgenes Stakes, scratch 1, Lolo La Plume. Scratch 3, Our Moonlight. 1 and 3 are out, win wagering only. Race 4 starts to middle, pick 4. One blinker note. Race 5, scratch 4, Brother O'Brien, and scratch number 11, Oh Great. 4 and 11 are out, pick 6 starts with the 5th. In the 6th race, scratch number 8, placeable. Late pick 5 and all turf pick 3 start with the 6th. Race 7, scratch number 7, Eagles Flight. Revised morning line is posted for race 7. In the 8th, we start the late pick 3 as the 7th is the first leg of the late pick 4. No changes in race 8. 9th kicks off the $5 double. Number 2, he's a 10, the jockey Alejandro Gomez. Scratch number 9, 10 figures. And then the 10th super high 5 wagering. Scratch 4, Baby Whalen. Scratch 6, Desert Rocket. And scratch number 13, Clever Clover. Scratch 4, 6, and 13. The 12 draws in. Enjoy your day here at Santa Anita Park. The Coast to Coast Pick 5 is now offered Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Dollar friendly wager with a 15% takeout. 27 minutes to post for the opener. Have a great day.